Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we want to do a ranking of all 8 Leprechaun movies to my least favorite to my favorite. And the Leprechaun franchise is really something dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite franchises of all times. I always watch it around St. Patty's Day and every time around Halloween time. But before we get started with my personal opinion ranking of all 8 Leprechaun movies, if you want to see more content from me, click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell to never miss an upload. If you agree with my personal list of all 8 Leprechaun movies to my least favorite to my favorite, like the video. I will really appreciate it. If you have a different list of your least favorite to your favorite Leprechaun movie, put it down in the comments. I really want to know. Let's have a talk about it. But anyways, let's get started with number 8, Leprechaun Origins. So the first thing I want to say about this movie is the main actor slash former WWE wrestler who played the Leprechaun in this movie, Hornswoggle. He did an interview promoting this movie and he said this movie will be better than all the other Leprechaun movies. And he said this: I never watch a single Leprechaun movie, but I know this movie will be better than all these movies combined. And he didn't even watch a single Leprechaun movie. He said that in an interview promoting this movie. But this movie is dog crap. It's bad. The acting is bad. The kills were bad. The biggest problem is you can't even see this leprechaun slash creature at all because it's mostly in a dark setting. The only two things they did in this movie that was related to the franchise: one, the name Leprechaun, and two, they use one line reference from the first Leprechaun movie in the very end of Leprechaun Origins. It's dog crap. It's the worst Leprechaun movie ever. Coming in number 7 is Leprechaun in the Hood. The positives about this movie is Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun. This is his 5th film in the franchise, and he still gives 100% for this character. The dedication to this character, and he's always having a blast with this character. With the cheesy lines in this movie, he's still having fun with this movie. The other little positive I would say, besides Warwick Davis' performance as the Leprechaun, is at the very beginning of the movie, you see the Leprechaun as a statue with a medallion around his neck. I like this just because it was a throwback to the third movie when you see the Leprechaun as a statue with the medallion at a pawn shop in the third Leprechaun movie. But that's the only positives I will say about this. The storytelling, the script is pretty bad. It's about 3 guys who wants to be famous rappers, and they rob Ice-T, and they grab the gold and the magic flute. And then, this is funny, they don't show the gold that much in this whole entire movie. They only show the golden flute that has magic powers and makes these rappers popular. And people will listen to them because they're not really good at rapping. So, yeah, they don't show the gold at all for this whole movie, but the golden flute. You do see Warwick Davis having a little fun and singing a rap song, and yeah. Coming in number 6 is Leprechaun Back to the Hood. The positives about this movie is Warwick Davis' performance, the kills, and the cheesy humor. The kills were a little bit entertaining to watch for this movie. It's cheesy kills, but works for this movie. Even though humor is really cheesy, but I get a chuckle every time I hear it, every time I watch this movie. The problems about this movie is it did not follow the story to the first Leprechaun in the Hood. I know it's totally different leprechauns in this franchise, but I wish it was the same leprechaun for this movie with the first In the Hood movie. The other problem is the acting is bad, but it's not terrible compared to Leprechaun in the Hood and Leprechaun Origins. I really hate the main character in this movie because every time she tries to attack the leprechaun pimp slap her every single time. The dialogue in this movie is pretty bad as well. Coming in number 5 is Leprechaun Returns. The positives about this movie is it is a sequel to the original 1993 Leprechaun movie, bringing us back to the farm in the middle of nowhere. They bring back the actor who played Ozzy in the 1993 Leprechaun movie. The kills are pretty good, and the last good positive is the Leprechaun. The real reason why Warwick Davis didn't reprise his role as the Leprechaun, by the interviews I looked up and articles, he wanted his son to get to the age of 18, so Warwick Davis will go back acting in the horror genre and maybe play another Leprechaun movie. He wasn't ashamed of the Leprechaun franchise or the horror genre in general. He was proud of what franchise he did, and the Leprechaun he did love indeed. But going back to the thing, the new Leprechaun wasn't bad, but if Warwick Davis did do this movie, it could have been better. The things I hated about this movie is the acting and the script. One of the worst things I hated about this movie is when each of the characters take a picture of the leprechaun with their phone and don't think that he's not real. And these characters are so stupid. I mostly just hate all of these characters in general, but Ozzy and the leprechaun in this movie. Other thing that really peed me off is there's a ex-boyfriend and girlfriend, and every time they say they don't want to make love, and they do make love, and it's so stupid. The script is just very bad. That's why I put this movie in my 5th spot, or 5th place. Coming in number 4 is Leprechaun 4 in Space. Now you guys will ask why I put Leprechaun 4 in the 4th place compared to Leprechaun Returns being 5th spot and Leprechaun Back to the Hood being in 6th place. Leprechaun 4 is nostalgic to me. I know this movie has a lot of bad CGI, but I don't care. I love this movie when I was a little boy, and till this day, it's just a cheesy goodness to me. Warwick Davis is excellent in this movie with his performance as the leprechaun in general. He is funny. He's doing cheesy lines. He's just having a blast with this movie. The kills are so cheesy and laughable, but in a good way. This movie is not perfect, and a lot of people will hate this movie, but me, it's nostalgic to me. The big problem about this movie, though, is the leprechaun forgot about his gold until the very end because he's trying to kill all these Marines and trying to find the princess to become king. So he forgot about the gold until the very end. Coming in number 3 is Leprechaun II. So Leprechaun II is about the leprechaun turning 2,000 years old and trying to find his bride. There's a couple of good kills in this movie that is really pretty decent. Warwick Davis is still excellent as the Leprechaun. One of my favorite scenes to see in the Leprechaun 2 is at the goat cart area, when the Leprechaun is in the goat cart. Coming in number 2 is Leprechaun 3. So this is a great sequel for a Leprechaun movie. The Leprechaun is in Vegas. The director who made Leprechaun 4 in space made Leprechaun 3. I love the kills in Leprechaun 3 so much, and the cheesy humor works for Leprechaun 3 very much so. I like the idea there's 2 leprechauns in this movie, but one is a big one and the other one is a small one. Because the leprechaun bit Scott on his arm, and Leprechaun's blood got in the wound of Scott and changed him to a leprechaun throughout the movie, and I think that's a pretty clever idea. Something new for this franchise. And I feel like the Las Vegas scenery, and it works very well. The scenery of Las Vegas. And Warwick Davis does an excellent job as the Leprechaun again. I think the only problem in Leprechaun 3 is the ending, how to kill the Leprechaun so easily, just destroying his gold with a flamethrower. Coming in number 1 though is the 1993 Leprechaun. Leprechaun was my first horror movie of all time. When I was just 8 or 9 years old, I watched this film on TV. The acting is pretty solid. This is Jennifer Anderson's first big movie to go to the movie theaters, and then she went to a TV show called Friends that was a huge hit. You have Warwick Davis, who played in a lot of big things like Star Wars, and then Willow, and then becoming the Leprechaun for 6 movies, and so on and so forth. You even have the actor who played Ozzy in this movie, that played in Pee-wee's Adventures, and played in Teen Wolf movies, and other movies as well. So you have a perfect, solid cast in the Leprechaun 1993. The kills are not bad, but they're not the goriest kills in the whole franchise, though. Fun fact, though, this movie was almost a PG-13 rating, and they almost had a big sponsor for this movie called Lucky Charms, the cereal we eat every single day. But when this movie changed to a rated R, Lucky Charms did not want to be sponsored or don't want their cereal in this movie. So they changed the box picture and the cereal to a different name. And that's a little fun fact. And that's why I love Leprechaun. And that's why it's in my first place. If you like this, remember, subscribe to the channel for more content. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.